Hello YouTube! Welcome to Mr. Reviews and another one of our anime theory videos. Now I have to give you two warnings real quick right now. Number one, this isn't a rant video, so I'm not going to go in depth into what I thought of the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. I will say real quick, of course, I thought it was an awesome movie. I love all the action and the butt kicking and the Kai blast and the graphics that they used. I thought they did go into 3D a bit, but I thought they utilized it well and didn't overcompensate for it, and it was a good mix of the style of 3D and action. And also, there are going to be spoilers inside this video too, even though it's not a rant, but it's an anime theory video, so of course you can expect spoilers in it. So number one, this isn't a rant, and number two, this is going to have spoilers in it regarding the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. And on to the theory. Okay, what's going on now? I know Gohan has a very large base, and I used to be, and I still kind of am, a big Gohan fan myself. I do wish that Akira Toriyama and Toei Animation and everyone that's involved in this will give Gohan more of a chance to shine. I believe I was one of the original people that saw the original Dragon Ball Z. And I even saw Dragon Ball 2, so I saw Goku's progression. I thought it was good that I thought they were going to hand over the reins to the show to a different type of protagonist that would be more modern. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. As there's some, now I'm not going to specifically reference or have any links in this. This is just my own personal theory. You can disagree with it or agree with it or refute me in the comments below. That's fine. But I do remember a while back, the reason why Gohan wasn't pushed to being the head of the Dragon Ball Z series, or like they anticipated he was going to, or even the head of Dragon Ball GT back then, was because the people that created Dragon Ball, that created Dragon Ball series to begin with, they didn't believe that Gohan would be a decent enough protagonist to carry the show. They thought that his mannerisms and the character that they created wouldn't have been enough in order to legitimately carry the show and keep the old themes going and keep the popularity of it going. So that's the reason why Gohan was dropped from being the protagonist of the show, and they kept Goku and his like fast eating, like kind of dumb, and I am a Goku fan too, but I'm just saying his fast eating, kind of dumb, and always wanting to fight self. And this goes into my theory as to how I believe, I could be mistaken in the future, just a theory right now, but how I believe that Broly is going to, in essence, be the new Gohan of the series, and they're going to, even though Gohan showed a lot of potential inside of Dragon Ball Super in the Tournament of Power arc, you could argue a lot of characters have been shown some development, like Krillin and Master Roshi and Piccolo, but we all know, even though they were very vital to Tournament of Power, they kind of took a back seat to characters like Android 17 and Frieza, and of course Goku and Vegeta, and some of the new Saiyans and new characters that were introduced from Universe 6 like Kid. They all, and especially Jiren, they all took kind of a back seat to them. So even though Gohan was giving a lot of leeway in a lot of opportunities to shine in Tournament Power, I still don't think that means that we're going to really see him in the future. I think that they are paving the way for another character that they believe that could exceed Gohan in popularity, but still embody the traits that they wanted to go through with Gohan to make Dragon Ball Super more modern, but still a character that they believe people can get behind. And in essence, that character is going to be Broly. And how they're going to do this, you may ask? I believe they're doing this because they're taking some of the traits from Gohan and putting those traits onto the Broly palette. And I think that's especially striking because Broly at the beginning had none of these qualities that we saw in Gohan as he was growing up, but now they're giving those qualities to Broly. There are primarily three parts to my theory. The first part is concerning what I just described, which I'm about to go to, is how they're taking traits from Gohan in his old palette and they're putting them onto Broly, while still, and because Broly is because they could probably consider Broly to be more popular character than Gohan. Part two is because how they the belief in full-blooded Saiyans and the driving force of power advancement in the show is different than what it used to be. And I'll get into that. And my third part is, of course, just the whole popularity thing on how Gohan, they didn't believe Gohan was a popular enough character to move the series forward. So let's delve into part one of my theory. We all remember the Broly. We love to be a complete badass inside of Dragon Ball Z. Well, inside of Dragon Ball Z movies, because I don't believe Broly was canon in the original Dragon Ball Z. He was only in the movies. Now he's canon, but I believe he's canon now, but that's something else. So the original Broly was just a monster of revenge. He was just basically a demon, completely evil, and his whole purpose was to just kill Goku. Well, kill Kakarot. That was his whole purpose for being, was to murder Kakarot. Kakarot apparently drove this little kid crazy by crying when they were inside the same room together when they were both babies in the original Dragon Ball Z movies, and that caused him to be murders for Goku for life. How ridiculous that was. A lot of people still like that backstory because how much of an invincible badass it made Broly. I mean, if it can make one of the most badass characters back then, which was Vegeta and DBZ, PS Pants, and not even want to fight Broly at all, you know he's a demonic, pretty powerful character. That was an absolute beast. But that's completely changed now. Broly's now not any more pure evil. He's a sympathetic character. Broly doesn't even want to fight, which is completely uncharacteristic of how he was. I mean, I still believe he enjoys fighting because he's a completely full-blown Saiyan, but he doesn't really like to fight. He's really forced to do this revenge fighting for his dad. So you could say the Broly now, it's not like he doesn't like to fight like other Saiyans do. It's more like he doesn't want to fight for his dad's revenge ploy. He probably wants to do it for himself as opposed to being controlled with an electric collar on him all the time. When he doesn't do what his dad say, his dad's going to shock him. So that's how Broly has changed, and how they've taken the qualities from Gohan, where Gohan was a peaceful Saiyan who didn't like to fight, but he still was a bit forced to fight was not forced to fight, but he was still pushed into combat situations by his dad. But Gohan, he was kind of a pacifist. Gohan would only really fight because he had to, while Broly, still in his backstory, has kind of this badassness to him, where he was on a planet where he didn't know what water was with his dad for years, and he trained to make best friends with the biggest, baddest monster on the planet, to the point where him and the monster were so playful together, his dad, Paragus, had to shoot off the monster's ear to make the monster mean against him again, so that Broly would be able to take the training seriously against the monster. That's how much of a badass Broly is, as compared to Gohan, who was just a little kid who, when he got a temper tantrum, his power level go up, and that symbolized Gohan's bad attitude. But Broly's has a more solid foundation that's considered tough, that's not based in being a crybaby. But he's still a gentle Saiyan who doesn't like to fight. Who doesn't really like to fight. So that's how they've taken qualities from the old Gohan and put them on Broly, but instead of those qualities that were on Gohan being attached to a nerd who got stronger by being a crybaby, now they're on a guy who grew up on a planet with not even water. He basically had to drink the blood of his enemies to sate his thirst. So that's how they changed things and made it so that they're pushing forward Broly in this new Gohan role to be the successor as opposed to Gohan. Now to the second part of my theory. The second part of it goes with how things have flipped with how Saiyan blood is treated now, and how the progression in the Super Saiyan is now different. Now, I don't know if this was actually proven in the original Dragon Ball Z, or there was a quote that proved it, but I believe there was a theory going around that the reason why half-blooded Saiyans could become Super Saiyans earlier, and why they had the potential, they were believed to have the potential to be stronger than full-blooded Saiyans initially, was because the Saiyans were a warrior race, and they were trained. And this is just a theory, mind you. I don't know if this was proven, but it's an old theory from Dragon Ball Z, where Saiyans were a warrior race and they were trained to suppress their emotions so they wouldn't have connections, so they become better fighters. But the issue with that is that it pushed back their emotions, so they didn't really experience anger or strong emotional attachment to anything that will help them push forward. Kind of like that thing in the human body where if a baby's shot under a car, a mother can't, or anyone that owns that baby can get hysterical strength and can lift up that car and save that child. That was kind of locked out of Saiyans by the way they were trained. But as you get humans in the equation, humans have more emotion than Saiyans do. So the belief was that half Saiyans that were mixed with humans could more easily tap into their emotions, so they could become Super Saiyans early, and they could transcend what Super Saiyans could be. And I believe that was originally going to be intertwined with the whole thing with Gohan. Originally was supposed to be the one to succeed Goku in the series. That was all tied into that to kind of pass the torch to the next generation. But as they start to believe, I don't know whether it was ratings or what it was, but they started to believe Gohan couldn't carry the stories much anymore, they switched the focus back to Goku, and with Goku being a full Saiyan, that focus changed with that too, to full Saiyans being the beast and stronger than half-blooded Saiyans. And that continues now in the Dragon Ball Super by this example I'm about to give. Now, I'm not originally Japanese, so I'm probably going to be butchering these names to hell. I'm probably going to. But remember inside of Dragon Ball Super, during the Tournament of Power, when I think her name was Kafla, the female Super Saiyan that Goku was trained against, as basically the version of him in Universe 6, and how he described that turning into a super, well, it wasn't him. She described that turning into a Super Saiyan wasn't linked to anger. She described it as a tingling in her back. And a lot of people thought it was stupid, which it kind of sounds like it is, but that really has a lot of significance in the direction they're taking Super Saiyan now. Super Saiyan is not something triggered by extreme, and I think there was emotion with it too, but it still is predominantly described as a tingling in your back. It's not really described so much as an emotional reaction to something anymore, because someone didn't have to die for any of the Universe 6 Saiyans in order to be like Super Saiyans. I think the other, I can't remember her name, the other female Super Saiyan that was the Broly in Universe 6, she was insulted, and then her power triggered, but it was still related to a tingling in her back. It was still related to that. And it's now being described more as a technique than not. It's not necessarily an angry trigger, but it's more a technique that's involved, that has anger in it, that has a strong emotion tied in it, and a technique. And that goes along with the direction they're taking things, where a lot of stuff now in Dragon Ball Super with the Saiyans and everything is being pushed forward to technique. And now one of the strongest traits that's associated with being a Saiyan is also their battle sense, where now they're really pushing. Before, it was some magical thing in Dragon Ball Z where if you injured a Saiyan severely, when they got revived, they become stronger. Now Saiyans kind of have a primordial battle sense, where the more they fight, the more they naturally learn and the stronger they become. It's kind of like a natural battle instinct, but opposed to them being hatched and naturally being able to like swim and being able to walk like animals can, as opposed to humans, they have the natural ability. Saiyans have the natural ability where they can like learn how to fight, and as they fight, they continue to learn how to fight and become better at it and learn techniques while they're engaging. We saw it We've seen it with Goku describing a fighting Hit, how Hit had an extremely powerful ability compared to Saiyans when fighting, how Hit learned quick too, and we saw it in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, how Vegeta was like, how he was amazed at how quickly Broly was adapting to them fighting, to their combat style. And a trait like that is not going to be something you're going to attribute to half-blooded Saiyans. It's more of a Saiyan thing. It's not attributed to emotion. It's more of a Saiyan battle sense, something that become diluted as you have more and more half Saiyans. So that continues to go on how the focus is being shifted from the half-blooded Saiyans and their strength to now full-blooded Saiyans, to Goku, Vegeta, and also like Kali, and to Broly. In my final example with reason 2 as to how Broly is going to become the new Gohan, and going to become how I believe he's going to become kind of the new focus of things, or rather he's just going to replace Gohan, is how you notice from Dragon Ball Z to you notice how from Dragon Ball Z to GT, back when GT was a thing, how the emphasis was on half Saiyans, how you had Trunks, you had an emphasis on Gotenks, you had an emphasis on Gohan and Pan, and it was all about the half Saiyans because they could turn Super Saiyan earlier, and they could get in there because the theory on their emotions being linked to getting stronger as a Saiyan. Well, now they're taking a reverse to that, and they're introducing more pure-blooded Saiyans as opposed to half-blooded Saiyans. They're taking a different direction in Super as opposed to what they did from Z to GT. So now we have Goku, we have Vegeta, we have the Saiyans from Universe 6 that are pure-blooded Saiyans, and now we have Broly. And the decision for them not to kill Broly this time around, but to make him a permanent member of the show, where now in Dragon Ball Super he's out there, he's probably going to be training with Goku, and he's going to be becoming more attuned with his pure-blood Saiyan self. So that's another way you can see how the show is shifting in its style and with its protagonists and with its central characters, because they've changed things from Z to GT with the half-blooded Saiyans. Now they're flooding everything with a bunch of pure-blooded Saiyans and what they can do. And finally, reason number 3, I said this was 3, but I kind of already hinted at this early in the video. I kind of already talked about this, on how for whatever reason they don't think Broly, well, not Broly, I'm sorry, they don't think Gohan is a popular enough character in order to push forward the Dragon Ball Super series. How Gohan, if you look at Gohan as a character, Gohan really does embody a lot of us. Like, we start off weak and we are actually scared and we don't actually want to go into conflict, but when we really train hard and we really have someone we care about, we can actually go forward and we can protect them and awaken hidden powers within ourselves. Is that relation that a lot of people understood Gohan, and why Gohan has such a strong following, why a lot of people that follow Dragon Ball to Z to GT now push back for Super, how a lot of people really are pushing for Gohan, but for whatever reason, maybe it's the ratings in Japan or whatever, Gohan is not a strong enough character to push forward the series. But if you take the way they might be looking at it, you can take those same qualities that make Gohan relatable and you can put it on Broly, and you can not only have a character that's relatable, but have a character that's an absolute badass that everybody wants to be and everyone envisions themselves being. Then maybe if you combine those two traits together, maybe you can have a character who can pass the torch, or a character who can at least have a stronger presence than they believe Gohan can have in the series. Maybe that's what they're thinking. So that's the thing, how Broly is a classical badass, while Gohan is the person that we can all relate to. But a lot, for some reason, I guess they don't think Gohan has enough badass moments. So instead, Broly's the new character they're putting those traits on. They're putting those traits on from Gohan. And I've already mentioned, I'm kind of repeating myself here, but that's reason number 3 on how and why I believe that Broly is gonna end up replacing Gohan. And there's also one key thing that ties all this together. One very tiny thing that I think I don't hear anyone else talking about, but I think is very relevant. This goes back to the focus of the show, where before, you remember, before Goku had a big thing on how Goku took pride in him being on planet Earth and took pride of him protecting the Earth, and he took pride in like being Goku. When someone ever tried calling him Kakarot, he was like, my name's Goku, that's who I am, I'm not Kakarot. But at the end of the Broly movie, at the end of that movie, instead of him saying, remember my name's Goku, he said, in Broly, you can call me Kakarot. I think that moment was very powerful and showed where Goku's mindset is in this series, or how it's changed as opposed to like GT, or how it's changed from Z, how Goku is now looking out and he's seeing things in a wider perspective. How he's now taking the Saiyan heritage, and instead of he kind of did accept it a little bit in his battle with Frieza originally on planet Namek, but he still really embraced the fact that his name was Goku when he was raised on planet Earth. But now he's meeting more Saiyans. He's seeing a different side of things, where his Saiyan race and his universe were a bunch of evil, like tyrants that conquered planets and sold them to the highest bidder. But in Universe 6, there's a different side of Saiyans. There are peaceful Saiyans. There are Saiyans that are more like him, that like to fight. So Goku, whether the show's consciously doing it or subconsciously, is more embracing his Saiyan heritage of who he is a little bit more. That's vital to Goku's progression as a character too, and where this character's going. But this isn't a video about Goku. This is about Broly. Therefore, it's showing how the focus of the entire series and how it pays way more for Broly, because of how they are now being more accepting of the pure blood Saiyans, and how the Saiyans are now embracing their self and where they stand on the world stage with Goku and Vegeta, and now Broly's been added to that mix. That line at the end of the movie where he said, and Broly called me Kakarot, was very vital in showing, and it was a big clue on showing where DBZ Super, or whatever they decide to call it when it comes back, is going from this point. Whew. And so is that anime theory on the Dragon Ball Super Broly, the movie. And how I believe that Broly is possibly going to be the replacement for Gohan coming up in Dragon Ball Super. He's going to take over that helm that Gohan once represented, and he's probably going to, in essence, be the new Oob too. Yes, I know there was a hint of Oob being born inside of, there was an Easter egg of Oob being born inside of Dragon Ball Super, but they still need that slot to be filled by somebody. And it did seem like the female Saiyans from Universe 6 could fill that slot, but the issue with that is that they're in another universe. So theoretically, it's an excellent idea. It would also maybe bring in, things are becoming more female-centric now in the media and everything, and it would help bring DBZ even more current with a lot of shows and a lot of trends. Unfortunately, they're in Universe 6 and Goku's in Universe 7. So unless there becomes a merger universe arc or something coming up where he has to really train with them to defeat some evil or something, Broly will be the next person in line with the whole successor thing than they are, because of the practical distance between the two. So, hope you enjoyed this anime theory I presented. If you agree or disagree, please, or if you liked the movie or hated the movie, please share your comments down below. Please don't forget a like and subscribe. And thank you for taking the time to look at my video today, and take care. Bye.